Good evening. Welcome to the August 27, 2019 meeting of the Rutherford County Health and Education Committee meeting. At this time, getting into our agenda, we need to approve the minutes for our 7/23 meeting. Let me go ahead and say that our chairman, Rhonda Allen, is out of town this week, and as vice chair, I'll try to lead this committee, and I've asked Ms. Cook, Commissioner Carol Cook, to review those minutes. Commissioner?
I have read those minutes and I find them in order, so make a motion that we accept them.
We have a motion and a second to approve the July 23rd meeting minutes. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And motion carries. Item number 2, Health Department report. Ms. Garrett.
Good evening.
Ms. Garrett, let me say thank you again for hosting us last month at the Health Department. It was a pretty cool tour and a good meeting. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it a lot. And kind of finishing with that, one member wasn't able to be there and she wanted to meet you guys. This is Cynthia Payne-Taylor, and she handles our dental hygiene program in the schools.
You want her to sit up here?
No. She said she didn't want to, but she was going to wave and say hi. But she does on the part where we have the school dental down at the bottom on the monthly report. We so far this year we're up to 10,000 in patient or children encounters that we've done in the city and county schools through her program, and that includes the dental sealants, the dental screenings, fluoride treatments, and referrals for more serious care that need to happen for some of the children. So it's a wonderful program that we provide, and after each school we send the principal and the director of schools a letter saying how many children we saw in that school, what services we did for them, and how much, if you were to put a cost on it, how much it would have cost that is provided as part of the Department of Health's dental screening program that we do in the schools. The parents sign an extra permission slip if they want to participate, and we've had really, really good participation this year from the kids and the parents. So just wanted to tell you about her because she didn't get to be at the meeting last time.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
And also I present my July monthly report for you. As you can see, our numbers are slowly coming back up after we implemented the electronic medical record. So especially in our Smyrna site, as usual, that end of the county is booming and growing, and so we've been reassessing and moving staff to help cover back to school reports or back to school immunizations and physicals, as you can imagine, for July, and then you'll see again on the August report that those are always a big deal for us. Keep us pretty.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand this. Okay, Immunizations Administration.
Yes.
Why are we so low in Murfreesboro that it's that big of a cut?
Right. So we have a couple of more choices in Murfreesboro than we do in our Smyrna end of the county for people to get immunization. So we're not the one-stop shop where we used to be, the only people who had the federally vaccine provided. Now we have several providers in town in Murfreesboro that provide that. And so that we saw our numbers go down a little bit. Versus Smyrna has less providers that have that available. So as you saw, their numbers creeped up a little bit. So it's kind of a combination of what else is available. We've always kind of been the stopgap for what other providers don't provide. And so that's why you would see that number change.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. The state has given us a lot of new guidelines, I would say, as far as for management and treatment of communicable diseases. It's become more detailed in what we're doing. So even though our numbers per se in all the communicable disease may seem about the same, what we're having to do, and some of the patients are more complicated. So it's a pretty complicated process. The state has agreed to give us a a new nurse position to help meet some of those demands. And so we hope to be able to very soon hire and train him or her to help us jump in and meet all those guidelines that have come along with some of those communicable diseases.
Mr. Chairman, I was talking to Sonia, and I thought she was going to be here tonight. But when we were talking earlier, I don't know if we have the money to do that during the 16-week period or not, but I know you need the help now.
Yeah,
quickly.
so that was one of my I don't know how to make this request because I've never asked for it before from you guys. But with the state position, it's going to be a great help, but we're in dire need right now. I have a nurse who retired recently, has 30 years experience, is willing to come back and help us a couple of
She's
days.
willing to come back and help?
And she's willing to come back for a couple of days a week to kind of help us. We wouldn't have to train her. She could jump right in and help, but I don't have any budget
She
or
didn't have any money in her budget.
I don't have any money for
Could
such a
we,
thing.
With approval of this committee, before we get to budget, let me check with Sonia to see how we can pay for this in the interim until we could get somebody.
Yeah.
That sounds like kind of a perfect scenario. I mean, when we lost our risk manager, we did something very similar. We brought back the former risk manager for a
Yes.
short period at
Right.
the time as an interim.
So she is retired in TCRS, so she could come back under the 120-day plan.
Well, she could, but the state is not doing 120-day contracts right now through the Department of Health. They may be doing them in other departments, but that was what I was told because I checked all my resources before
I mean,
I
you still have to have
reached
pay,
out.
but that
Right.
would make it.
It will not affect her retirement if she works no more than 2 days a week with us temporarily.
Yeah, Lisa was out today, so maybe
Yes.
between now and the budget, if we had affirmation from this committee to move forward to help out our health department, we could try to find the money by the time we get the budget.
Yeah, but I wanted to start with you guys and see if you would approve that.
Do you have a recommendation? What does this committee need to do tonight, Mr. Mayor?
I would like to see a motion that we send it on to budget with a positive recommendation if funds were available to help our Department of Health on an interim basis until you can get someone.
Right, until that state position is
16-week
hired.
period.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move this to budget
I'll
for
second.
consideration.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion?
Mayor?
All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you for bringing that to us.
Yeah, thank you guys for your support. I appreciate
Thank you, Mayor,
it.
for being on top of that as well. Anything else?
No?
Health fairs, there'll be a lot of them probably going on this fall. Are you involved in any of those?
Yes, we've got several things planned in our Smyrna. There's a church fair that's happening at United Methodist in Smyrna that we're a part of. And I know there's a couple of other ones that I can report on in September. But yes, we always are very involved in community health affairs.
Any flu shots be going on during some of
Yeah,
those?
we would expect flu vaccine to arrive towards the end of September. So we'll have that available in I would say towards the end of September, the first week of October at the latest.
For anyone
Yes.
that might be listening, do you have a recommendation as to the perfect timing to get your flu shot?
Yes, the earlier in the season, the better. It's always recommended that you get it as soon as possible as it becomes available, so that would be around the first week in October. It's recommended for everybody aged 6 months through forever. As long as you're alive, they're recommending it from 6 months on. And the reason we especially want to do it around babies who are less than 6 months is we build a little cocoon around them because they're too young to take the vaccine. And so we work to make sure moms, grandparents, babysitters, everybody, teachers who are going to come involved with that child who can't get vaccinated are vaccinated. And then that helps cocoon and protect the child. So it's recommended, especially if you have chronic diseases of any kind, diabetes, heart disease, asthma, it's really recommended because you're going to have a much worse reaction to the flu than, say, a person without those chronic diseases.
There's the folks that are wondering the cost. The cost is always dependent on income. Is that
That's
correct?
exactly right. So the cost is on income and family size. So you just come in and self-report what your income and your family size are, and then the computer figures that out for us, what percentage it would pay. But don't let that deter you, because if you can't make the payment, we'll figure it out. We'll set you up on some payments to cover it. if you need
Medicare is fully covered.
Yes, Medicare covers it, TeamCare covers it 100%, and Medicare 100%. So, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, last night, our risk manager, Mr. Elam, talked about our open enrollment for our health benefits for all county employees. And it's going to be for the first time ever we've had an open employment. It's going to be at the Lane Aggregate, where employees can actually come instead of doing it on the computer, and they can actually talk to someone. So Cigna and everybody's going to be there. Maybe, I don't recall the date. I know.
October 18th.
I've got a,
Something 18.
yeah, October 18th.
October 18th?
Yes, yes.
Maybe-
We also
maybe-
have a booth out
Well, I
there
was
as
going to ask
well.
if you had a booth. If not,
Yes.
could you check and get the booth?
Yes.
Because there's going to be a lot of our employees, and great opportunity for you to touch those folks.
Absolutely, yes. We're involved in that every year. And matter of fact, when they start planning it, right after the end of this one, we're on that planning committee. So
This is the first time we've ever had open enrollment.
I know, I love that idea to help people. It'll be great.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that's not computer savvy, and
Right.
Sure, we get confused. There's a lot of technical
it's
questions.
really confusing sometimes.
It is. It is.
You're talking about me.
Yeah. All of us can go through that.
Anything else?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Did we approve the report? I believe we did, didn't we?
No. Okay.
Need a motion to approve the report?
Approve the report for the health department.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the health department report. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And again, I appreciate y'all's support.
You're welcome.
It helps.
Okay.
Community care, I think you have the July minutes. I'm sorry. Oh, wow, we've got someone here.
We have
Yay.
Terry Watkins, and she's our director.
Very good. I think we have, if I'm not mistaken, you were here last month and I just forgot. Or maybe the month
I've
before
not been
last.
here since I first started with community care 3.5 years ago.
Okay, very good. Welcome. You have a report for us?
I do. Well, community care's doing well. We are averaging 108 census. Comparable to the state, I believe the state average is in the low 80s, so we're doing very well when it comes to that. We are preparing for our annual survey. It's been 1 year ago this week, so we're waiting just at any time. We're ready. We're also preparing for all of the changes that are coming with the new payment model when it comes to Medicare. We're now going to be a patient-driven payment model as opposed to what's a RUG model, so it'll be more clinical-driven as opposed to therapy-driven. We're learning everything that we can about that, trying to be ready. That starts October 1st. We also have a lot of regulatory changes that are coming along. That has been a 3-year process. I believe it's probably the first time they've made these kind of changes in about 20-something years. So to be already a highly regulated industry, we're seeing even more, a lot of changes. The 3rd-year phase, so 3-year phase, that will be effective in November of this year. So we're learning everything we can again about that, and preparing and putting our processes in place so that we continue to be successful. The reason that I'm here today is because the board has, our community care board has asked me to present our renovation project and our capital expense budget that we have that goes along with that.
Ms. Fogg, Chairman, I have a question. You have 11 open positions right now?
That would be on our floor positions. That would be our direct care staff, and yes, we have a lot of open positions.
And now
Staffing is a
that's a
challenge.
lot.
That is a lot.
Is there anything that we're doing to try to offset this?
We are. Our open positions are mostly with our nurses and with our CNAs. That is an industry-wide issue. That is a challenge that we all face. We're fighting for the same people. We are doing everything that we can to recruit, retain. We, of course, offer excellent benefits. We try to get that information out there. We've looked at our pay scale. We're very comparable to everything else in our industry. We do struggle. You know, we're not going to be able to pay like the hospital. You know, that's kind of where our struggle, where we see it. We are doing job fairs. We're offering everything that we can to try to fill those positions and to try to make people want to work with us, to stay with us.
Terry, you may want to share with them, the reason I'm involved, I chair the committee, and of course, Doug Bottery is the finance chairman of the committee, and of course, Commissioner Cook is on the board as well. But recent action at the last meeting, the board took action to take, for several years, they'd had a bonus, am I correct?
Yes.
And so decided to do away with that and take some of that money and give more to the weekend staff, because that's where we were struggling, trying to get people that wanted to work those shifts.
Weekends and
Terry,
nights.
you can explain that
Yes.
better than I.
Weekends and nights, that's where we struggle the most. We had in place pretty much a bonus a perfect shift bonus. So if you come in and you work your shift, you don't call out, that perfect shift goes the way it's supposed to, you could have up to $1 an hour more. That was not always utilized. At the beginning, it did very, very well, but as we went along, it wasn't as, I guess, interesting. So what we did is we reallocated those dollars, and we're offering a premium shift bonus. So for those that work weekends and nights, that adds up. It's added to that premium shift, and that's making it more attractive for our PRN staff.
I understand nurses are pretty hard to come by.
They are.
Well, we also have a daycare center out there also for employees that is, and employees pay, you know, but it's, they really enjoy having an opportunity to bring their kids, and they can, you know, knowing that they're close, right?
Terry, do you want to tell them how the children interact with the elderly?
Yes, we have what's called a bridge program. So a couple of days a week, the children from our daycare that are in our toddlers, so they're 2 to 5, 2 to kindergarten age, they come over and they have an activity with our residents. That activity can be anything from the residents reading to them to whatever they're studying that week. The activities vary, and our residents, they're just thrilled to be able to do it, and our kids just love them. Besides that, they kind of come over and do some spontaneous activities as well. We have to remember they're children, so we don't want to overdo it. You know, they don't want to be in the building with us all the time, but they do enjoy coming over. We have a few of our residents that are able to go out to the daycare, so they go out and they do some help in the afternoons. And then we also have the baby class, so they're newborns to 18 months, 2 years, and they have their own carts, and they ride over in their carts as long as the weather's nice, and they do that every day. Go around and visit all the residents and all the common areas and get to interact. So it's a great thing to have. It's very unusual for a skilled nursing facility to have something like that.
Excellent.
Children learn who gives us treats too.
They definitely do. They definitely do that.
You have a pass out for us?
I do. Got plenty, so I don't know. what you see here is we have a section of our building that was built in the late 50s, early 60s. And it is in, we maintain it as well as we can, but it is in poor condition. When we do tours and when we have referrals, there's really only two reasons that I have a referral that doesn't convert to staying with us. And this is in our short-term skilled unit. So these are residents that are going to come in for their therapy and they're going home. And what happens is they don't see the chandeliers. You know, they don't see that it's pretty. They see that it's clean, and they'll tell you that. You know, we'll agree with that. They don't see that the care is great. You know, our standards are high. What they see is an old building. They see cinder block walls, and they see old floors, and they don't have the updates that our people are wanting to see. So what we have done is we have looked at doing a floor-to-ceiling renovation. So no structural changes. Everything kind of remains the same, but what it is it is a full facelift. It's a very much needed facelift. It's very much needed new furniture and those kind of things to go into these rooms. We have 50 rooms. They're all double occupancy and with a shared bathroom. But if I lose a referral, it's because of that. It's because the building is not up to, that section of the building is not up to people's standards. So we have gone out and started looking at what it would cost for us to do this. And we've been blessed with the Christy Houston Foundation grant to help us in this process. And this is what it is going to take for us to do this complete renovation. And there are a few other items that are listed in here that are going to have to be replaced this year. Keeping in mind that the newer part of our building is about 18 years old, and a lot of these things are starting to, are at the point where we've used them up. So now we're going to have to go in and replace. So you'll see that Christy Houston Foundation has given us a 3-year grant that pays out when we get started of $609,058. For the total project, it's $1,740,175. So we're looking at a capital outlay loan of $1,131,117. The renovation cost, everything, I've tried to list it out.
That old building, is that electrical, plumbing? Are we replacing all of that?
We're replacing some plumbing, but it's not electrical.
Okay. Does that make sense, Mr. Mayor, that we do that without getting into the electrical system there?
Yes.
Okay.
We have two, I think Christy Houston made the last gift for the last section that we renovated.
Right.
And this is the last one that we need. We had a leak in one section of the roof, but Ben's been able to go out, got information back from the roofing architect, and come to find out we've still got a couple years warranty left on that rubber roof, about 2 or 3 years, so we're going to utilize that warranty for that section. That roof is kind of like a layered cake. It's different over the years, have several different roof structures and elevations and et cetera. But the one that's leaking is the one that's got the warranty, so we're good. Would like to talk to Siemens though at some point in time, maybe like what we're doing with the sheriff's department, and let them come out and take a look. I don't know if all of our light fixtures, Terry, or all of them LEDs, have they been converted?
Not yet, and that is what we will work on with this renovation,
Okay.
is converting those.
Maybe with them doing that, we can also, they can tally up the savings
Yeah.
that it would be as well, that would show.
Just like water savings, what they're doing at the jail. We saw that last night, and probably our biggest expense at the jail is showers and flushing.
Well,
Flush, what they say, the prisoners flush an average 17 times,
It was,
and they're gonna cut them down to 13, and the shower goes from 11 minutes to 5 minutes. So they're gonna put water restrictors on them. But they were flushing all kind of stuff, you know, anything they could to back up the toilet so it would flood, just to create, you know,
Yes.
create chaos, and because they're bored and don't have anything else to do, and they say, well, watch this. And so,
this, what do we do to make sure that Siemens or whoever is involved in this process, what do we do?
we can reach out to Ron and see if they could go out and take a look at it, see if it'd be worth, you know,
Okay.
engaging.
It was impressive, the Health and Ed meeting and what they were hoped to be able to accomplish there.
Sure.
So what you're looking for from us tonight is approval to maybe go to the bond market? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, we'll probably, Doug, aren't you recommending from the finance committee that we go to the bank
To the bank or
instead of bonding?
the bank, or if the commission would, and I spoke to Lisa Nolan about it, do like an interfund loan.
Okay, yeah, we can borrow from the county over that 3-year period.
So,
We'll find out which one's the least expensive.
so what you're looking for us tonight is to approve this investment and forward it onto the budget committee?
Yes, sir, because we do own the building.
Correct.
You know, Rutherford County owns the building.
What is your total capacity?
131.
131?
Yes.
So this is a majority, will affect, if it's just at 50 rooms with 2 occupants per room, so we're talking about a majority
Yes.
of the facility will undergo renovation.
Yes.
Where are you gonna put the people at?
We have begun kind of slowing down on our admissions process so that we can have areas to open up, but we will have to renovate while we have residents there. We do have 2 sections of that building, so we, as of right now, we will be able to have most of the residents in one section so that we can renovate one portion and then be able to move them over for the next portion, the second phase of the renovation.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move this to the budget
With a positive
with
recommendation.
a positive recommendation. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Everyone understand the motion? Any other discussion?
Is there anything should be in there about going to Siemens from here?
Well, we could do Siemens, and there's another company that is interested in giving us a competitive bid. They do the same type thing. The guy used to work for Siemens, and I don't remember the name of the company, Steve.
They're from up in Knoxville. I'm trying to think. They're
Out of
talking
Knoxville.
to us now about other buildings. So.
Why don't we just ask the mayor to come back in the next month or two?
Sure.
Where you can get that information and report to us. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Mayor? Any other questions on the motion? Do we need to?
Acclamation.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? The motion carries by acclamation. Thank you. Anything else?
That is all that I have.
We have 2 months meeting minutes, and I think Ms. Cook they're both on your iPad. The July meeting is on this month's agenda, and I think the June meeting is on last month's
Well, we've also
agenda.
got August. June and July was on last month's SharePoint.
So all we have is August?
Well, we need to accept and approve all 3 sets of minutes.
You heard what I just said?
Let us,
3 months.
I would say let's recommend that we accept June, July, and August meetings.
Thank you, Ms.
Minutes.
Cook. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for June, July, and August meeting minutes for community care. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming, Terry. Special projects report, Ms. Jolly.
Well, I don't really have anything to point out on the report. If you have any questions about it, I'll try to answer them.
Any updates at all from last month? None?
Just the, just processing payments, that's it.
Give you guys a minute to look at it if you haven't already.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve our special projects report. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of that motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you, Teresa. School board report, Mr. Spurlock, Mr. Beaudry, and Mr. Lee.
Yeah. Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah, Beaudry. All right, it's good to see everyone. News from the district. We are decreasing enrollment.
Decreasing?
Absolutely. That's fake news. Okay? We've actually added over 1,033 students since May of 29th. May 29th, so we're growing. I think that is obvious. But we have two amendments here that we would like to bring forward. The first one is in our Fund 177. It's a capital projects amendment. We did have an issue with the chiller at Blackman High School, and it went down, I think it was in right at the last of July, was it not, Mr. Lee?
Yes, sir.
And we needed to take care of it. So what we're requesting is taking allocation from what we had allocated for major HVAC components for Central Magnet to cover this emergency replacement. We also at that time had to rent a chiller for 2 months. And you can see the quote on the back of what this entailed. Now, before anyone gets upset about Central Magnet, we are going to be taking care of that. We will start that later on this year. That will be it will start this fiscal year and carry over to the next fiscal year, so we'll be able to have that covered. So, any questions on that?
Transferring funds.
Right. Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Let me read the motion here, okay?
Go ahead.
All right, motion to approve moving $380,000 in funds within Fund 177 from the original approved list that's for planned capital projects to cover the emergency replacement of the chiller at Blackman High School.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. We have a motion and a second to approve this budget transfer request. All those in roll call.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, next was in Fund 189, our building program 2019-20 budget plan. Basically, it's to clean up some of the items of the building program and recognize the actual costs and move around some of those expenditures, transferring to funds that were project to cover small overages. We also, I think, a minimal amount will be moved over into our building program. I think it's like 3,000 or 4,000 or something like that. So motion to approve the project amendments as detailed in the Fund 189 amendment spreadsheet. And just to update everyone on our search for land, we're still searching for land on the west end of the county. Right now, in the 1,033 students we've added thus far, it's coming in our middle school. We dropped about 200 students in on Rockville Middle. We are currently at 1,600 at Blackman Middle, and they keep coming. So we're going to be working with the school board here soon and looking at some things, but we currently have not found any land in the western end of the district. So that's something we're going to be, Mr. Lee's, he's tried, and we've looked at some property, but it was a no-go. So we're still looking.
I got a question. Sure. One of the things that I've always bothered me is, and help me out here, Bill, when we look for land, and you say you look for land, what does that mean? Are you hire somebody, you got a special guy that goes out and looks?
Actually, I don't think we're under law, we can't hire someone, but we do have, we reach out, and Mr. Lee, if you want to come up here, if y'all suspend the rules and let him come here, he can tell you kind of his process.
We don't have to.
You don't have to, okay. Kind of tell them where you've been using your process.
Well, start out, I ride the roads every Sunday looking for a new for sale sign. In the areas that we're looking for, I've reached out to a number of the real estate agents that have got land in that. I've been working with a couple of our local design engineers because they hear about projects that are coming, places that are looking, and knocked on a few doors, made some cold calls.
So you're the man.
I have been for the last, since Mr. Clardy left, I have been taking over that process.
We've actually reached out to the city. We knew that they had a couple of pieces of property that we thought they may want to let some go. And I think they were looking at it at one time, but that was a no-go also. So we're looking at a variety of different things. The one thing that we're being cognizant of, I think that we all understand that, in a location where we can have the greatest impact on alleviating some of the overcrowdedness, but also good roads and soil, good soil. And quite frankly, some of the areas that we needed, what we need now, what we'll probably start doing, we all talked about, I think it was a process that occurred under the commission and the board a few years back where we were looking at 2 years back where we were looking at 3 school complex. I'm going to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure that we can continue that in those areas. So it may be something we may have to look at a 2 or possibly even a 1 school complex because it's getting so difficult to find land.
When you get out into that area, you get into, like we have in all of the county, rock.
Right.
But you also get into a lot of karst.
You do.
That snail shell cave system, that karst extends on down, really into my area.
It does.
And so I think you ran into that out at Hamilton 96. So a piece of property can look pretty good, but if it's hollow underneath, it's not very good for building on. So those are geological issues.
The county planning guys, Doug DeMoss and them have been a great help. I've phoned them and go, okay, there's 50 acres here that looks pretty good, and they look at the soils map for the county and they go, you don't have enough soils there to do anything with.
And that's right.
So that kind of precludes that.
I was going to say, Steve and I met with him just last week, and the county commission approved back in maybe May, before the budget was set, to hire a former geologist from M-Tissue. And we're doing dye tests. He's out there testing right now, and we're starting kind of in the Rockville area and running the dye. kind of waiting for the water table to come back up a little bit in that karst area that goes all the way down to Allenville.
It does.
So that might can help you,
It would.
you know. So from a flooding standpoint, we need to know where those holes are.
Absolutely.
You know, that's our
But
natural drain in the basin.
you're absolutely correct, Commissioner. It's touch and go out in that area.
And I've been told years ago by Phillips Builders that Laverne is honeycomb,
Right.
and they wouldn't build because it was honeycomb.
Right.
So the area, I guess the short version is the area that we need to be, we're somewhat limited.
We are.
But we're continuing to look. I met with another local engineer today. We looked at 3 more pieces of property, and he said, no, there's not enough dirt there to get it's far enough out, there's no sewer. So we're looking at a drip system, and there's not enough dirt there to do a drip system.
So the land that we approved for you in Christiana area, and we're gonna start building on that as soon as we get the roads, am I correct?
Well, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. That is the plan, and it still is the plan. But we will be discussing the building program with our board. The concerns that we have it's not. I mean, it's kind of unusual for 200 students to come into one school over a 1 year time. You know, like with Rockville Middle, we didn't anticipate that. And I think it's about, was it 125 at Blackman Middle that came in to put us at 1,600? So, I mean, you know, once we empty out, I mean, right now our high schools are good. Some of our elementary schools are good. But those middle schools are, you know, I mean, you can't predict that with the type of homes that are being, being built, and people like being in Rutherford County. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in Rutherford County?
And I can tell you that, you know, where there is sewer, Smyrna is extended out my way all around
Right.
there, and they're stacking the houses in with 5-foot setbacks. And there's something like 600 or 700 homes platted out, developments that are, some of them which are well underway. You're out in that area, you know what it's like out there. I mean, they're just building them just as fast as they can.
And that was where we wanted to build initially. And when we looked at that land, of course, that land went under and wasn't good enough. And quite frankly, we can't find anything.
I think you're going to have to get away from the school preschool
The three-school complex. I
as
agree
much
with
as
that.
I hate to see it,
Right.
but because the Stewart's Creek campus has become a real model of how things can work in a community build around it.
Right.
But it's just like I said, with the price of land and the developers going after it and the karst that's underneath, it's going to be hard.
It is. I agree. So that's something we'll be talking. We'd already planned that. We'd had several meetings that we'll be talking to our board with about.
Other questions? We're still talking about Fund 189.
189.
Yeah.
We need a motion.
We do.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? All those in favor of that motion? Whoops.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Urban?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye. Is that it?
What about the cafeteria fund?
Did you put this in?
Doug,
Oh,
is this your first official meeting?
Is it in? I didn't.
I guess
Okay,
it
okay,
is,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. There's one more. This was, this is a little different for me because, but anyway, you'll probably ask the question about it. Anyway, the centralized cafeteria fund 143 petty cash on hand amounts for each school nutrition location approved was $13,100 for sole purpose of making change. And we're asking for an additional $30 is needed for the 2019-20 school year for Oakland Middle to utilize in the annex. And this will increase our total petty cash on hand to $13,130. Motion to approve the centralized cafeteria fund 143 petty cash on hand in the amount of $13,100 to $13,130 to be utilized in the annex at Oakland Middle as presented.
The comptroller.
Okay, you're saying the same look, you're giving the same look I gave you.
It's gonna be the smallest.
I'm making a motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second to approve the request.
Collection.
Any comments? Serious comments?
I'll donate 10.
Okay. I get it, look. Doug, you got to take one, man.
That's the comptroller's office, they require the motion, that's what they need.
It'll be a thrill, Doug.
Okay.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Urban?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Couple more. This is what you gave me. You have some, you have something in there?
This was from.
Okay, we do have some more. All right, this is in our 177 GP budget. Is that right? 141.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the budget amendment for $4,948 to cover costs for our in-house training session for our school employees to be instructed on their new student management software. The new attendance software is additional to, we needed new for the requirements of the state. And by doing it in-house, we actually save money. So we want a motion to approve the $4,948 transferred from the budget funds to cover the cost of the in-house training sessions for the new attendance software.
This was some.
Are we looking at anything or
This is money that we're just moving within our,
it's on your iPad?
It's on.
Okay.
You want me to tell them?
yeah, go ahead.
This was some, a little bit bleed over training that we did in-house training with the new attendance software, like Mr. Spurlock said, that we just weren't able to capture that on the last time we were up there with the last fiscal year. We did it our attendance folks did it in-house, like a trainer. The vendor with the software company would have charged us $1,450 per day if they had done the training, and they would have limited the class size, so we saved money by doing it in-house. But like I said, this was just a little bit leftover training that didn't capture.
Our own people did the training that we're trying to trainer model.
So the recommended motion is to approve almost $5,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the request.
Who's your second?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments?
Call the roll.
That's what I said.
Okay. Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Urban?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Okay. We've got one other addition of amendment. This is coming from, what fund is this coming out of?
Federal projects.
Federal projects. And it's for some training and for a designation of disproportionality of discipline. This is by the federal government. We had like 26 districts in the state, and we were deemed in one of the areas with students with disabilities African American and in disproportionality. So we're requesting here to transfer $1,236,060 to address the disproportionality of discipline for students with disabilities. These positions are in addition to the positions already previously addressed in the fiscal year budget of 1920. We would add an additional instructional liaison to address discipline due to academic needs. We would add an additional behavior educational assistance to assist with staff and individual student with behavioral needs. This would be 2 positions. And the remainder would be transferred. The $438,511 will be restricted to GP fund balance for future project use. Motion to approve positions budgeted through transfer out funds using the IDEA Part B funds to address the disproportionality of discipline for the students with special needs.
So you're transferring internally from CCEIS?
Right.
Okay.
That's, it was actually required 15% of the IDEA budget. That's a federal law. Is there any more down this?
We were notified, our sped folks were notified about this by the feds in July. That's why this was not
Right.
placed in the budget.
The law in itself was based on a 3-year period. And normally on anything like that, we get what's called a baseline, so that we work off of that baseline to reduce it or increase it if it's achievement. But in this case, there was no baseline. It was 3 years, boom, here it is, correct it. So now we have that to work off of.
You heard the request?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the transfer
Good
request.
night.
Any other questions or comments? Call roll.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Urban?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye. You're done.
I'm done.
Sure.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Doug, you got anything else you want to pull out over here?
Got some in your pocket?
This is all federal money.
30 cents.
For those of you that don't know, Doug is replacing Jeff Sandy, and this is his first meeting, I believe, to sit before the firing squad. You did well.
Doug's doing a great job. We're very thankful for him, and we look forward to working with him for a long time.
Absolutely.
He's also on our community care nursing home board and on budget.
Doug, you want to say anything? Tell us where you came from,
Well,
how you got here?
Kittrell.
yeah, yeah, just right down the street. Worked with you folks at CTAS before I came here, and I've told several of you already. I'll be the same person as when I was working over there. It's like we're all in the boat together. We're taxpayers, and going to be just continue what's already been started. Is we'll be transparent and work with y'all.
Welcome aboard. We're glad you're here.
Got one comment or something. You're well aware of the goose problem at Stewart Creek. I asked Ms. Garrett tonight to research it with the health department as to the detrimental effects. She's going to do that and get back with us. So
We'd already planned on draining the swamp. Okay.
Right.
So we're seriously.
if that will do
We're
it,
taking care of it.
Alabama fans didn't like it.
There's several people who have proposed kind of off-campus hunting. Goose season opens September 1, but I'd rather have something less controversial.
But we are looking at a pump system. You want to talk about it a little bit?
We've had this problem for,
Since the beginning.
yeah, but the last 3 years, it's mushroomed.
They
Geese imprint,
kids.
and not like turkeys or deer or whatever that you can catch and move down the road and they don't come back. Geese imprint and they come back. There's a number of things that you can try to get them, and we've tried. It's in a residential location. We've tried all of these. The best way to alleviate the problem is you have to change the habitat. You either eliminate the food or you eliminate the water where they're living. We can eliminate the water. We had it in our last year's capital projects to do it. Funding was not there. It's not a huge amount, but we're looking at probably $35,000 to $40,000, but that will solve the problem going forward. So we're going to have it again in our capital projects to drain the pond.
I think in the end it may save some money because they're tearing up the
Baseball
athletic
field.
baseball field,
They are.
practice field, so it's going to be maintenance on those and repair of those, and eventually they'll tear up the football field itself, and those are expensive items too. So it's just one of those things that it's not good, and they're not easily scared.
No, they're not.
They don't scare easy. So
I know you have a flock of turkeys of 9 over there. I see them quite often.
They don't create near the problem that the geese do.
How did you figure that out? Did you look up on Google how to get rid of them?
We've had the TWRA out there, we've also had the USDA out there.
They get acclimated to it, and the noise, I think they have
They quit paying attention to it.
yeah.
We've used coyotes,
Coyote
decoys,
decoys.
we've done everything that they've talked
We
about.
have a lot of hunters in Rutherford County.
If we could get far enough away from the school, I've got a bunch of them lined up, but I don't know that the neighbors would like that.
Oh, we had a pigeon hunt a number of years ago here on the square, and it didn't go over too well. On Sunday morning,
I remember that.
I was head usher down here First United Methodist Church, and some of the ladies coming to the second service had to step over some of them, still quivering. And it didn't go well in the paper the next day.
Afraid I was out there.
Disregard that then.
They were hot.
We could get the neighbors.
It's problematic.
Yeah, but anyway, we do realize there's a problem, and it has gotten worse, and we do have we've worked through all the economical, try this, try that. We've exhausted all of those without very much success, and the only way is to change the habitat.
That's what I was hoping that you were going to say TRA or Corps of Engineers or somebody like that.
Yes, we've had them out numerous
Neighborhood
times.
pool.
If you would, give me a 90-second update. I want you to go into full-blown explanation of your traffic study out in Rockvale. Last night at Public Safety, I think the county has taken some complaints about traffic issues in and around the school system, the campus out at Rockvale, and we had Mr. Lee put together a study and made a presentation, and bottom line is there's a problem, but the problem is really restricted to about 30 minutes or so, and there's not a good solution to it. But if you would give us just a brief synopsis of what you found out.
Basically, we've done 2 traffic studies at the request of the state, which is TDOT. We've made all the repairs, extended the turning lanes, done everything that TDOT instructed us to do. We've been out there numerous times, and I've actually been out there and Health and Ed passed out a minute-by-minute report of basically how the traffic goes. We adjusted the bell times to 30 minutes, which helps the traffic. We got one school on one side and 2 on the other. The short version of a very long story is, as long as the traffic guards, which they have been, continue to turn the cars, in other words, let the turning lane get full, but not back up into the lane to block the through traffic, and then stop traffic to get all of those cars through, turned off the road, and then let the oncoming traffic continue to go. That's the best way to keep traffic going north and south, going to Eagleville, coming back, going toward Murfreesboro, moving as quickly as possible. The elementary school we open all schools 45 minutes early. They begin to allow children to come in so that we can get those parents through. The elementary school backs up just barely into the turning lanes, but does not impede traffic. So they're turning them as fast as they can. The crossing guards are doing as fast as they can. And basically from about 10 minutes after 7 to about 7:45 is our busiest time frame when the traffic actually backs up. But by 8 o'clock, it's completely gone. We have the same amount of cars in the afternoon, 0 traffic. The difference is it's the 4,000 plus cars that are coming from Bedford County, Eagleville, that area going toward Murfreesboro in the mornings that causes us the problem, that are not affected by the schools. They're what we call through traffic. They're just going through. In the afternoons, those people are not there because they're still at work. And we have 0 problems. No traffic backups, no anything.
We'll keep an eye on that.
We are.
But there's not a lot to be done for an issue that exists in such a short time frame. It's a bottleneck, and it happens not only at our school systems, but at a lot of the intersections around town at that time of the morning. So it's not just unique to Rockvale. it's all over the county and getting worse. But it is new to Rockvale, because Rockvale used to be country.
Well, I think you even suggested last night, Trey, that word will spread for alternative routes coming in Panther Creek and some
Yes, Windrow Road,
Windrow
those
Road.
kind of things, and Commissioner Reed brought that up too. We're finding that more and more people, that we actually did a back access to Thompson Road out the back of the campus. We worked with Mr. Homer Brown, who we bought the land from years ago, and bought an extra 5 acres when we purchased the land to give us a way out the back to Thompson Road. And that road is opening, and a majority of the high school folks have already figured it out. And that's why the traffic goes away at 8, because the bell time for the high school is not till 8:30. But our traffic on 99 is gone, you know, right around 8 o'clock, and it's, those kids are still coming, but they figured out that they're coming around Thompson Road around the traffic. Once they figure out they can stay on Thompson Road and end up on Veterans, they'll get off 99, they'll go around Windrow Road. And so we're hoping that some of these 4,000 cars will start finding these routes and start going around.
That's a good thought. Plus, also, the newness of the high school has probably created a lot of those questions. And as time goes by, hopefully, people will get acclimated to that traffic and adjust their schedules so that they won't be late for work and other types of things.
And you're getting a lot of construction out that way too, especially initially in the beginning, that was bottlenecking up and right as you went out of town. So that didn't help matters either.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Really good synopsis, 90-second presentation. Thank you.
If I could, I got 2 real quick questions.
Sure.
I didn't get a phone call on this, but I'd heard, I just wonder how it is, not just Laverne, but the county in general, on crossing guards. I got wind of a problem in Laverne, where there was the crossing guards at the
They are
shores.
difficult to find. They are.
The sheriff's department's having the same problem that we're all having, especially when you're dealing with 4-hour people. And traffic guards are usually retired folks or people that live in the community, and they only work an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. The last time I talked to them, they were 20+ short crossing guards. And they're even taking some and trying to run them to an elementary and then drive to a middle and try and help out at the next school. And
That's true, Trey, but the sheriff did make a correction last night in public safety meeting that word had gotten out that the city was, it upped theirs to $38 per day.
Right.
And we were still at 19, but that was, his information was incorrect, so he corrected himself last night.
So there
we're only
is a shortage.
$2 short.
There is a shortage. It's hard to find people for an hour in the morning. They got to be there, you know, 6:45, and they work for an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and they got to be back in the afternoon.
In the rain, in the
Right.
Yes, sir.
snow.
And get blown at,
Right.
Yeah.
not called very nice words.
Yeah.
Not much of a solution for it then, really.
No, sir.
And the issue we have, we can use some of our personnel, but we can't get them on the roads. If we get our personnel on the road directing traffic, that's liability there for
We're not
them,
covered.
and we're not covered. Yeah.
Okay, that brings us to the conclusion. Anybody have anything else? If you don't, let me kind of throw out an idea. In December, we usually forego the Health and Ed meeting because it's around Christmas Eve most every year. So we usually cancel that meeting. Let me suggest, usually the school board doesn't have anything in December to present because you guys are shut down and everything. Let me just throw this out there, and the mayor, you can think about it, that maybe the week before that, the week of the 16th, somewhere maybe the 18th or the 19th on Wednesday or Thursday, we take this committee out to community care, conduct a meeting out at community care, and inspect that facility and look at the construction process that you have in mind.
I think it's a great idea.
So see if we can put that together, and once again, the week before we're scheduled to meet, it will get us before Christmas and also get us off site, which means that the other departments that report to this committee probably wouldn't be making a report the week of Christmas anyway, and we could solely focus on community care that month. It's an idea. You guys think about it, Mayor, and if you could come back with a date, approve it with their director and board, we can talk about it at our next meeting.
I'll ask our directors and my finance chairman if we got the money to pay for the meal.
We may have, if it's in December, we may have our Christmas trees up that you can bid on.
But matter of fact, I got a great chef out there. That's really good.
That's the reason I was maybe recommended December, because years ago, we went out there. Carol, I know, remembers, and it was really cool. We met a lot of the people who are out there, and they decorate the place, and their kids put up signs and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's a good time of the year to be meeting with them. Plus, it'll also give us the opportunity to firsthand view what they're requesting as far as the money that we're going to spend in updating that facility. So take a look at that, and we'll discuss it at our next meeting. Okay. Anything else?
Excellent job, sir.
Thank you for your patience, your time, and your attendance. We are adjourned.